Kathy Salters was a young adult single mother with 3 children, a 9-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a little toddler about 1.5 years old. She was coming back to church where I was pastoring, and she was desiring to do good by her family. She was a very simple young lady, not with a lot of skills, but she really wanted to take care of her family, and she was working hard to do that. Her family was not very supportive of her. Being a single mom without a husband and 3 boys, they constantly criticized her and her efforts to try to provide for her family. Church members took a great interest in Kathy and tried to help her in various ways. One church family even provided daycare for her youngest while she was at work. Kathy often talked about what she would like to have happen if something would take place where she lost her life, and who would care for her children. She was adamant with the church family. She did not want her biological family to care for her children because they were so critical of her and had made disparaging remarks about her children. And so Kathy had talked to different church members, and they had agreed verbally that if ever she needed to, they would be willing to be the guardians for her children. Unfortunately, Kathy never got around to making a will, even though the conference provided a service free of charge to all church members to make a will. And so she never made a will, and in that will determined and wrote down who would be the one to be the guardian of her children. One day I received a very disturbing phone call as the pastor of the church. It seems that Kathy had gone by the school at the church to pick up her oldest from school, and when she got to the bottom of the block to pull out on the major highway, I don't know if she didn't see the oncoming car or what, but she pulled right out across traffic and was immediately struck.
We got one entrapped, just east of the intersection.
Quickly, the ambulance came and took Kathy and her 3 boys about 2 miles up the road to a large community general hospital. The phone call I got not only told me about the accident, but told me that Kathy had died at the hospital, and they needed someone to come and tell her sons that she had died. I remember walking into that hospital, going through the emergency room, going down the hall, and then finding a small private room where the hospital staff had arranged for me to sit down with her 9-year-old. And I had to explain to him that his mother had died and she wasn't going to be there for him anymore. And I remember seeing the whole range of emotions going across his face while I was talking: the denial, the grief, the devastation, the anger, the perplexity. It was all there. Well-meaning church members cared for the boys for a few days. Eventually, their future landed in the hands of a judge. And the judge asked the next of kin, the most immediate family members, what should be done for these boys. Kathy's parents, who she definitely did not want to decide her children's future, stepped in and asked the judge to place the children in 3 different homes, none of which were the homes that Kathy had wanted. The boys were broken, they were separated, they didn't get to grow up together. The baby didn't stay with the young church family that was providing free daycare for it. And those boys never had the chance to grow up together. This was not what Kathy wanted, but she did not have the opportunity to write a will and give her preference so the court could follow that. There's a value for young families, for families with little children, for families with teenagers, to make sure you have done a will so you can state who provides for your children. You will want a Christian family, one with the same values that you have, one who believes the Adventist message like you do, to care for your children during their growing up years if something unfortunately should ever happen to you. That's why the Georgia-Cumberland Conference provides free estate planning and counsel for you to prepare a will and be able to state in that will who you would have care for your children. Not only that, but you can also plan for how you may want to leave a gift for God's work. So let me encourage you, as a pastor who's been there, who's seen what's happened to one of my own church members and seen what's happened to those children, all opposite of what the mother desired, let me encourage you today, contact us. Let us work with you to provide for your children in the way that you would like them to provide it for, so they can grow up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord in a godly Christian home. Here in Georgia Cumberland Conference, Grateful Living and Trust Services is happy to help you make your plans and honor God.